It's your boy Luke, back again for another NFL Draftkings video, this time for our showdown slate between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles Chargers, which is going to be one of my favorite games of this entire weekend. It's going to be extremely high scoring, and we have two of the best gunslingers out west in the NFL. And on one side of things, we have Carr looking to lead his team to a 4-0 start, and on the other side of things, we have Justin Herbert, who they just took down Patty Mahomes last week in very impressive fashion and are led by young stud Justin Herbert, and really expecting huge things from both sides of this equation. And on top of the great matchup, we also have some massive DraftKings contests to try and take down, including a Millie Maker, a few other GPPs with over $100,000 to first. So something for everybody. So strap in, because this video is going to be everything you need to prepare for tonight's game. We're going to cover the injury report, the best spend up options for each team, my favorite value plays, and of course we're going to conclude it all with my favorite selections for the captain slot. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So we're going to start it off with a quick injury report. On the Raiders side of things, we have Josh Jacobs as questionable. He played last week. He's been practicing on the side and whatnot, so I do expect him to suit up tonight. But if he does not, we're going to have Payne Barber get a huge boost. So something we're going to have to keep an eye on a little bit closer to game time. We also have Alec Ingold questionable for the Raiders. Jalen Ricard put on IR this week. And of course, Gerald McCoy suspended for the performance-enhancing drugs kind of thing. On the other side of things, we have the Chargers with Kenneth Murray Jr. out. Also, Justin Jones, the defensive tackle, going to not be playing tonight. We have Chris Harris Jr. Now, this is a big one. He's questionable for tonight. He's their star cornerback and somebody who's going to be tasked with trying to shut down Darren Waller at times. He's more of a slot corner. They've shown a propensity to put the slot corners on tight ends. So going to have to keep an eye out on that. Also, they had a huge loss for the Charger side of things with Brian Bulaga, one of their better offensive linemen, not going to be suiting it up. In terms of an over-under, we have one of the higher over-unders on this entire slate. Also, a relatively close spread, just 3 points right now for the Chargers, and a lot of that has to do with them being the home team. Typically, you have about a 3-point spread built in for that home team, so a little bit more of a pick-em if we take a look at straight-up talent. But for the Raiders side of things and our spend-up options, they kick them off with Derek Carr. He's $10,800 on this slate, projected for 20.2 points, and somebody who right now leads the NFL in passing yards. And that was before this weekend's slate of games. Through 3 weeks, had been leading the NFL, and somebody who's been a lot more productive than I think people expect. Obviously, John Gruden, kind of known as a QB guru, so for me, not quite as surprising as it is for other people. They've been high volume. They've been very good at throwing the ball downfield. They've spread it out. The run game has been effective as well, so really can't say enough good things about this Raiders offense. Derek Carr, just a little bit expensive. Obviously still makes my top 3 picks though. And number 2, you can see we have 2 players here, and it's very dependent on injury, because if Josh Jacobs ends up suiting up like I expect him to tonight at $7,600, he projects very well in this game. This Chargers defense is very soft against the run. They let up a ton of points, a ton of yardage as well, and we know that Josh Jacobs gets a ton of carries in this offense. So whoever ends up starting for this team, if it ends up being Payne Barber with Josh Jacobs being out, we know that he can be relied on as well. Just take a look at last week, had over 20 carries, over 100 yards rushing. So whichever one ends up starting in this instance, I'll be playing a lot more than the other. And at number 1, we have Darren Waller, who's by far the best play on this entire slate, not just for this team. So at $9,200, he's completely mispriced. That's just the best way to put it. I am projected right now for just under 20 points, and he's somebody who has a true 30, even 35 plus points ceiling. I mean, we saw in week 1, he got targeted over 17 times, had a crap ton of catches, somebody who catches a lot of red zone targets as well. So Darren Waller, all around one of my favorite plays on the entire slate, somebody who probably should have been the most expensive player on the slate, not just on this team. And now getting to the Charger side of things, we have Justin Herbert at number 3, who is going to cost $11,200, who that isn't the best price. That's why he's not number 1 on this team. I mean, obviously, all the offense runs through Justin Herbert here. They are a pass-first offense and a high-volume offense at that. So projected for 22.1 points right now. He's still going to make essentially every lineup that I enter tonight. He has some sneaky rushing upside as well. At number 2, though, Keenan Allen at $8,800. He's a sweetheart of mine in DFS formats, especially on DraftKings where we have PPR added to the equation. So projected for 18.2 points. Again, a lot of that is due to his PPR upside. I'd say he has the highest floor of anyone in this game. Somebody who's going to get plenty of targets. He's going to catch 7 or 8 balls almost every single game and doesn't need a touchdown to really pay off. So really like him in cash formats, but even for GPPs, cracks my top 3 targets. And finally, at number 1, we have Austin Eckler, who's going to cost $9,600 tonight. He's my highest projected player on this team outside of Herbert at 19.6 points, and as of right now, projected for over 135 total yards, which is kind of crazy. He gets a lot of those yards through the air, a lot of them on the ground as well, and the Raiders to this point haven't been an amazing defense. I mean, they've been very good at rushing the passer, but they haven't been very good against opposing running backs, whether that's through the air or on the ground. So Austin Eckler, somebody who gets the most touches of anybody on this team, is poised for a breakout performance here in week 4. And now moving on to our value plays. At number 3, we have Foster Moreau, who at $1,400 is a great price tag and somebody who has a sneaky role on this Las Vegas offense. Somebody who, when they play 2 touchdown sets, isn't just a blocker, isn't in there just to add an extra offensive lineman. Moreau is extremely athletic, somebody who any other team would be their number 1 tight end, would be putting up massive numbers, but because he's playing behind Darren Waller, kind of has to take the Robin to a Batman role. But on Showdown slates, he could pop at any point. He's extremely athletic. He's utilized a ton in the red zone. Sometimes they even give him carries out of the backfield. And with Alec Ingold going to be sidelined for tonight, most likely, Foster Moreau is going to get even more touches because Ingold's also somebody who has a very sneaky role in that offense, plays from time to time. I expect almost all that usage to transfer over to Moreau. They play a very similar role, have a very similar build, that kind of thing. So definitely like him in this instance, especially at just $1,400. At number 2, we have a little bit more of an expensive value guy, Jalen Guyton for the Chargers at $2,400. We saw him play really well in week 1, had 5 targets, 4 catches for over 50 yards, and kind of has fallen off the board since then. We haven't seen much production. 3 targets there in week 2, only 1 target in week 3. So that's why we've seen the price tag drop as much as it has. But on the slate, we don't have many options to target. And Jalen Guyton is still getting plenty of snaps. He's just not getting a ton of targets. He's somebody who's more of a deep play threat. Definitely not going to be getting much attention from the defense. So if he ends up getting out there in some 3 wide receiver sets, ends up taking a deep ball to the house, that's more than enough play to get him through. Obviously, a little bit more of a volatile option. Isn't going to get 5 or 6 targets in this game. You're looking at probably 2 or 3 and hoping that he ends up paying them off with deep plays or that kind of thing. So only projected for 7.9 points right now. Again, you're kind of hoping that he returns to that week 1 form where he saw 5 targets. But on the slate, you could do a whole lot worse at $2,400. But at number 1, our best value play on this slate, the guy I'll be targeting in most of my lineups, that is going to be Zay Jones at $1,800. I am projected for 8.8 points right now, and he's great at stretching the field. This is a guy who's played extremely well to this point. He's taken advantage of almost every opportunity that he's had here in 2021, and I expect his role to grow as a result. I mean, anytime you go out there and you're extremely productive, it doesn't matter who's ahead of you on the depth chart, you're going to get more usage. And Zay Jones, to this point, has earned more usage. You've seen John Gruden increase his usage week after week, and Jones is still priced less than $2,000. For me, he's a clear number 3 wide receiver on this team. He's outshined a lot of those periphery options that we expected to outshine him become the beginning of the year. And as the year goes on, I expect his role to just grow. And now getting to our captains. At number 3, we have Keenan Allen, who is definitely the leverage spot at captain. He's not going to be the highest owned by any means. At $13,200, he's a little bit more pricey than I'd like, but as a result, not getting much steam in terms of ownership. Just 27.3 projected points. You like to see that. And for Keenan Allen, the best part about him, the reason why I love playing him on Showdown slates is that he's not touchdown dependent. He can go out there, get you 8 catches for 100 yards, that kind of thing, and easily pay off his price tag. You can't say that about a lot of the options on this slate, especially the running backs, especially some of those value plays at wide receiver. They have to go out and get a touchdown. That's just not the case for Keenan Allen. He has that kind of role on this offense. So in terms of a leverage spot, somebody who's not going to be very highly owned for captain, I like going there a whole lot. At number 2, we have another Charger. That's going to be Austin Eckler at $14,400, projected for just under 30 points, which is excellent. You love to see that, especially at the captain spot. He's by far the safest cash play at captain, somebody who has a guaranteed role, is going to get a ton of catches out of the backfield, going to likely see near 20 rushes as well. I love doing that in a cash sense. The guy you know is going to go out there, get you at least 20 points at captain, and not kill you either way. But at number 1, we have Darren Waller. He's by far my favorite captain play. Just $13,800. And if you guys remember just a few weeks ago when I did my Showdown video with the Raiders, he was near $18,000 at captain, and he was still a great play, still paid it off on that slate. So at 29.7 projected points, he actually has true 50-plus point ceiling at this captain position, and somebody who should be a no-brainer. I'm probably going to have Darren Waller in over 50% of my lineups at captain. The other 50%, he'll just end up being a flex position player. It's essentially a lock for me on the slate, and I love going there at $13,800. That's all I've got for the Monday Night Football picks, guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. I'm going to have full Week 5 NFL content dropping this week, so make sure to keep an eye out for when that drops. If you guys haven't already liked the video, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys go ahead and do so. I really appreciate the support as always. Here on the channel, I don't just post NFL content as well. I also put up stuff for the PGA Tour, UFC, NBA, and more. So if you like this type of database content, this type of approach to taking on fantasy sports, make sure to subscribe for more. Thanks again for the support. I'll see you guys next time for my Thursday night football picks.